In this video for section 3.2, we're going to talk about variation. Measures of variation measure how much spread there is between the data values, or how far spread apart they are. If they are all very close together, the numbers are all very close, then the variation is small, and our measure of variation will be a small number. If the data values are far apart, if there's a lot of spread in the numbers, then our variation is going to be large, and we will have a large number for a measure of variation. Our simplest way to measure variation is by calculating the range. The range is calculated by taking the largest value in the dataset and subtracting the smallest value in the dataset. The range is very easy to calculate because it's usually pretty easy to just find those two numbers and subtract them. The disadvantage of the range is that it only takes into account these two values. It does not tell us anything about what's going on in between those two values. So the range is very sensitive to outliers or extremely high or low values because all it really is taking into account the highest and the lowest values. Another way that we can calculate variation is by calculating the interquartile range. The interquartile range is not as sensitive to those outliers because when we calculate the interquartile range, we take the third quartile minus the first quartile, or Q3 minus Q1. So we are going to look at this example here, and this is the number of text messages sent over a 1-week period by 100 Verizon customers. We want to compute the range and the interquartile range. So I have entered these numbers into a Minitab worksheet for you so that you can open that and you don't have to type them all in yourself. You will find that Minitab worksheet in Blackboard. To open a Minitab worksheet, first you need to download it to your computer, and then you need to have Minitab open in a browser window. In Minitab, click on File, Open, and then select Worksheet, not Project or Minitab Connect Data, but Worksheet. It won't work for you to go directly to the file in your computer and try to open it because your computer will not be able to find a program that can open the Minitab worksheet. Since it's not a program that's on your computer, it's a web-based application. So this is how you open the worksheet. When you open it, you should see the numbers and it should look like this. So now I'm going to calculate the range and interquartile range. So I'm going to go to Stat, Basic Statistics, Display Descriptive Statistics, select the column that contains the data that I want to use, and click Statistics to choose what I want for it to calculate. And we've seen this before. So if I want to calculate interquartile range and range, I am going to take everything else off and just look at those two. Click OK, and here are my values. Now, one thing to be aware of is that if you look in the textbook, you will see that the textbook gives you a different value for interquartile range. It will tell you that it's 43.5. And the reason that that happens is because there are some slightly different ways of calculating what the quartiles are. And so depending on the method used, you're going to get slightly different values. It's not as straightforward as calculating the range, which is always going to be maximum minus minimum. So just be aware of that if you see that in the textbook, and don't be alarmed by that slight difference in the numbers. When you're doing the homework, it's always going to accept the value that Minitab gives you for interquartile range. So I make sure that the questions will accept this formula for calculating interquartile range. So that's how you calculate range and interquartile range in Minitab.